Hey friends, it's Renee Bradshaw. Going to be doing a past life reading, a large one. Um, these typically are, I think, 35 to 45 minutes. I did just have a little bit of an incident with not only spilling candle wax, but then breaking my brand new um, goddess statue that my children got me for Christmas. It was a clean break, just into three pieces. I think I can glue and fix. Um, I feel like we may be looking at some danger here in this reading, with all these little mishaps I've just had. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So this year I'm starting to shuffle beforehand because I do prayers and chanting while I shuffle, and then I always end up fast forwarding. So I just decided this year, instead of editing, it's a lot cleaner to just go straight from my phone onto YouTube, without having to stop and edit and fast forward through all that prayers. So we're going to go ahead and start the reading. So I did pull a card first off to get the theme of this past life and a little bit of its connection to your current life. And we have the Hermit card. I love the Hermit card. Some people have like a bad, the word hermit in people's mind kind of pulls up some really negative stereotypes, but I always love the Hermit card. It's like, that stay home, that doing stuff with your family, your immediate friends, not wanting to be in a huge crowd, soul searching, reading. I feel like a lot of these things are included in the Hermit feeling. So I feel like we're either going to see like a lot of hermit energy here within the reading, or we're going to see how that kind of affects your life now. It may pull you in more than you go out. But I feel like that's going to become more apparent as we're going along. Initially, my feeling is that you did kind of have some serious issues with other people in this past lifetime that we're tapping into, that probably is affecting you in this lifetime with trust. Or if it's not, that was the lesson that lifetime to watch a little more who you give your heart to. But we'll look into that too. So this first set here is early life. And you gave me some kind of background about the a couple lives that you remembered, and I did feel drawn to tapping into one that you felt like was in the desert, and that you were likely, or you weren't sure if you were a female in that lifetime. You did have male, you did feel male energy in another lifetime. Well, I felt female energy for this. I felt female energy going to this. I felt the desert. I felt that this was not a lifetime spent on Earth, though, but another planet. I feel like there's more desert on that planet, more dry and desolate. But I feel that is the way kind of that planet is, and it's not like it's been used up, but it's just kind of supposed to be that way. So I'm feeling that. I'm just feeling, because when I'm seeing it, like, I'm picking up bits of it. I'm picking you up in like a, like you would imagine like an old fashioned, person would wear like a long dress, sleeves down to your wrists, but I see things frayed, and I see like modern technology mixed in somehow. Like there's modern tech, definitely, or different kind of tech, but definitely modern technology, digital type things. So I'm feeling all that here. So that's why I'm drawn to it being a different planet. So looking at this straight away, this is kind of the life you were born into here. And we go a little bit from beginning to end in the very early years of what you were born into. A little bit of a chronological. So we have the Ace of Wands, and the Queen of Swords. I'm feeling these two especially drawn together. Um, I'm feeling like a powerful family you were born into, like whatever the system was there, whatever the middle class, lower class, upper class type thing is. I'm feeling like a lower upper class family you were born into. I'm feeling like the family you're born into owned a lot of land. They were landlords of sorts. It seems like owned a village maybe, and almost like like the older systems here, or not here, but in like England, um, in other countries that have been around much longer. The Where you had like the lord would own the land or whatever. I'm feeling that kind of energy here. So I'm feeling like that your family owned this, and I'm feeling, because right away we're getting that queen energy. I'm feeling your mom. It was This is like a society where I feel like there was really no kind of gender wars or gender issues. Um, your mom was the one in charge, and that was fine. It wasn't like a problem. That was, I feel like, immediately I'm feeling like the power and the ownership was passed down female to female, not male to male in this land. Um, this Wheel of Fortune, it's like that. The karma, the luck of the draw. I feel like seeing this here is kind of bringing some of this feeling into today, where you may have felt a few times like you couldn't step ahead as fast here because of your gender. Um, some things with your gender have kind of um, almost set and feel like it set you behind here occasionally. Um, or even you've been passed over for certain things because of your gender, or um, treated unfairly, I guess. Mocked is what I'm feeling. Oh, you're just a woman, that kind of feeling. And I feel like that hit you strong when those things happened, in a lot. And I mean, it hits every woman strong, but why I'm feeling it hit you really strong is because you did come from a time at some point where um, you came from like where women were equal, and they could even be more in charge, and there wasn't really a question or a thought about emotions. It was just um, it was very much that more evolved in that sense, I'd say, than we are now here today. And with this energy here, I'm feeling that. So that's interesting to me that with seeing this Wheel of Fortune card, I always feel kind of connecting, because it is that karma. So I feel it's connecting all the lives and everything together. So it's interesting to see that pull up right here first off. To definitely kind of try to tell you like some of the reason that you feel um, very hurt about it. Not only is because it's hurtful when stuff like that happens, but also just because you did have an experience in your past where it wasn't that way. The Three of Wands energy here, I'm seeing like that going off on an adventure. So I feel like and then that Ace of Wands, like, having everything at your disposal, like that creative energy just exploding. So I'm really feeling like you were given with your parents' position, and with that non-gender stereotyping, I feel like you were really allowed to go off and do what you wanted. So even though I'm feeling that desert vibe for the whole planet, pretty much, I feel there was water areas, and those were a little bit more things that you guys probably avoided, because it wasn't I feel like you didn't need water as much as we need now. Like your bodies were conditioned to not really need it. The terrain and life was conditioned not to really need it, or perhaps it was like more underground everywhere. But I do feel like there was an opportunity when you were young to go see the water, and that I really feel like that shaped you. Like that was awoke something inside of you that made you want to go and travel and go back there again. So I do feel like that adventurous person awakening inside of you there. It's kind of interesting to me because I'm getting all this vibe here about the female energy, and that like the more equal footing, and then you had that, the other dreams and the other premonitions of being a man in a past life that was similar to this life. So that's very interesting to me. I think maybe, even with this Wheel of Fortune here, I feel like you may have spent a few lifetimes on this planet, filling both the male, more submissive role, and then the female, more dominant role. I had to shut my window. The sun went down, and all of a sudden it's freezing. Whew. So then we're going to go into, as you're growing up more. Oh, that's interesting. So then we have the Emperor card here, which is interesting because we had the Queen of Swords in that spot earlier. So I'm seeing this maybe as, I'm feeling strongly like this is someone you're pulled towards and away from your family. And a lot of that I feel like, yeah, with the Devil card here, that's probably where that energy is kind of emanating from this card, is like that, curious about the way, because even though we had that equal footing, I feel like there were probably some places where the men were more in charge, or no, I feel like there was one particular place where there was just a man in charge, and that you were drawn to this, kind of drawn to, oh, okay, this is what I'm feeling now. That's interesting. Okay, so I just saw the water flash before me when I'm talking about the man being in charge. So I'm feeling like the women were very much over the desert, in charge of the desert kind of atmosphere, and the men were more in charge out at the water. And that water energy, that exploring, that wanting to find, what else was out there on the water after you saw it as a child, I'm feeling like you were drawn that way. And we have like this the star charts down here. See, I'm feeling like navigator. You possibly had some navigator background in you somehow, and that made you kind of usable, I guess, on these ships, I would say. And then the Devil, that temptation card, going off, but with this being reversed, I'm feeling kind of, not a horrible temptation, but it was, like wasn't putting yourself necessarily in like a bad situation. Like these weren't bad men, I don't feel like at all. I'm just feeling it was a new situation, a adventurous one that you left your family behind, for. And we got the 6 and the 7 of Wands stacked right here. Definitely that progression, that moving forward, like going from, kind of being involved in your own local community, and that whole, like I feel like your family, was respected. They owned the area, yes, but they were like legitimately respected because they were kind, and you were kind of treated well because of that. But once you started having more of that adventurous, water spirit, I keep hearing like water spirit as a thing, which is interesting because we start with all this desert energy and then the water spirit, but going off, and we haven't had any cups cards, have we? And I keep getting water energy here, so it'll be interesting to see what else is coming up as we go along. But the 7 of Wands here, I feel like at one point though, just they were no longer acceptable of, I don't know what, I'm hoping we'll see as we go along, but I don't know what was making it so different, or different for you to want to be on the water than on the desert, like why that was a problem for people. I feel like some of it was this male in charge versus the female in charge, like just possibly like, here, imagine like several hundred years ago where there's like a country where it's run all by women, and like the men are kind of submissive and at home putting on makeup and everything, so I feel like it's maybe some of that energy there where they worry about you doing this, and that worry goes from worry to anger and to frustration, and I feel like an argument between you and your mother. I'm feeling a lot of that, like if you go, don't come back, kind of typical explosion energy, like when the argument kind of came to a head. So then we'll see exploring after, yeah. So exploring after all that happened, and we do have some water, some cups energy here. So with that Knight of Wands, which is like, to me, it's always like that charge forth and explore attitude. Yeah, the Knights are all like um, about charging, moving forward. But you know, you have your different ones with different qualities and different reasons, and that like, and the artist does a really great job here. Like, there's that dragon out there, and he's just gonna fly out, and he doesn't care. He's either gonna fly by it, outrun it, or he's gonna go fight it, and he doesn't necessarily worry about his safety. Which I just remembered something you said in your email about um, disregards to safety, I think. Something like that. I don't have it up right now, but something about disregards to safety or dying young and wondering if some of those lessons were not completely learned. And so I don't know about the lesson yet, but I do feel that 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 charging forward without much thought, just like, I am going to beat this kind of energy. And um, there wasn't something to really beat at this point, but I do see like that flying off, that new lifestyle, that leaving everyone behind. You were just like, you know what, then fine. And I see that here with the tower. Like, it was just that moment, those moments we saw in your childhood, like that decision you finally made. So I'm feeling right now, I'm being shown like here, I can see sometimes better when I'm doing this. I'm feeling like that. Like there was a point where it was kind of like you were allowed. It's like, what do you call that? Like the Rumspringa? Is that the correct word that the Amish people use when they are allowed to go off and explore a different way of living? And I feel like you were allowed to go off and explore that water energy, that water spirit that you were born with. And then when you were out there and you fell in love with that water spirit, that, you know, that's when everything crumbled. And then when you were an adult, a young adult, you were allowed to charge off, leave everyone behind, and it kind of just shattered your entire world that you had known. But it was an exciting new adventure. So you know, the Tower card, I never really see it as the end of anything, but it's just the changing. So it was the crumbling of what you had known and going into a new unknown world. And some of that, I feel like that Four of Cups, that wanting something better. And you know, and then obviously, you know, we've got the ocean and the water energy here with the Cups cards. And I'm seeing, like, you know, the two bottom cards here, those Cups cards, and that moving forward, going off and exploring. So at this point, I see like a large ship, and it doesn't look like an old-fashioned pirate ship, and not necessarily even like a ship today, but it's very flat almost. It's like a flat wooden ship, but it's massive. Like there's a lot of people on it, and I feel like there's like almost like homes or huts or something on it. So this is definitely like a whole way of living, a whole world here. Like, this is a whole way people, like, born, raised, died out on the ocean. And so I feel you out there. I feel, again, that navigator's energy, helping people find their way. I feel like you weren't the only one who had come from the desert. You know, there was other people that left the ocean behind. There's people that left the ocean behind for the desert. So it was not unheard of, but it wasn't highly common. So I do feel like you kind of, in the beginning, were friends with other deserts, other people that had come from the desert, and I feel like that was just kind of a safe choice for you guys, and you understood each other. But then over time, I feel like you kind of branched out and made new connections. So this next set, I think, is about finding love and romance. So it's kind of interesting to me that we end this with the Two of Cups, which is very much like that loving energy here, that relationship. It could be a friendship or you know, a partner for life. But I do feel I do feel a romantic relationship. And this next set, I believe, is relationships, and it is. And sometimes it's romantic, sometimes it's friendship, but I'm definitely drawn to that romantic side here. And then, of course, the water energy here. What's interesting to me is I'm seeing that you discover after being on the boat that the ocean kind of surrounds land again. Like, you have most of the world is desert, and then you have this ocean here, and then in the middle I feel like there's more desert with slightly different vegetation than down here. So it's like a port, it's like a docking port almost for the ocean people. And like, you guys have this desert location in the center. I mean, it's naturally formed, it wasn't man-made formed, but that is the place that you decide to make port and to have more of a resting place and like to repair. Although I feel like you do a lot of boat repairs out on the water. I feel like there's repairing out there, there's other people there, but it's there, and it's not something that's known by all the people in the desert, not by many in the desert. And it's not because there's anything mystical or magical there, but I just feel like it's like the vegetation is different, the animals are different. There's a protection of animals there. I feel like worry about animals that like maybe out on the outer desert have gone extinct due to hunting and everything, and on this little desert in the center. And when I say little, I don't mean little, like you can't see both ends from one end, but I feel like it's a city wide, a depth size. So I feel like that's there in the center. And so there are times when you go there, there's different reasons to go there. But I do see like a lot of vegetation on the boat itself being grown. All right. And then relationships here. Oh, yeah. So I have the Knight of Cups here, which is like that, this is that other knight, that loving romantic knight, that one that wears his heart on his sleeve and charges off towards love. So I'm feeling like that was your romantic connection. But I feel like your attitude was a little bit different than his. It wasn't quite as, I do feel like you loved him. That love was there, it was strong, but it was your way of showing it was different. Just because the way you were raised was different. You were raised basically by the Queen of Swords, who's like that super serious, guarded heart, strict kind of vibe I'm getting. And then here, you have this one who's definitely the Queen of Pentacles, who's more mothering and sweet than like the Queen of Swords. She's not as analytical, but I feel like seeing this for you here, definitely more hands-on, I feel like. And I'm getting some of that hermit energy here. Hands-on, like, oh, okay, I see what you guys are saying. So because we have that energy of the women being in charge where you grew up, and then we have more of that, I feel like it wasn't like overly masculine, but there was more masculine men in charge on the boats for whatever reason. I feel like that was the disconnect there. Like, you thought you would be the one to lead the relationship, whereas he thought he would be the one to lead the relationship. I do feel like it eventually went well. I feel like, there was marriage and children, because this mothering card here. But I just feel like together it was never 100%. I just feel like he was too, not like bossy, but he wanted to take care of you. Yeah, he wanted to take care of you, and you didn't necessarily want to be taken care of. You wanted to take care of him. You want to take care of yourself. You thought more of a partnership, where he thought more of a I guess you could say like what we think of as old fashioned with men. Like he just really wanted to take care of you. Um, this mother maiden crone energy reversed with the sun card and the death energy here. So I feel like this was a lot of you learning to let go, learning to let him love you more, and him learning to let you love him more and take care of him somewhat. But I do definitely feel like some of that energy that you had gotten from your mom, that being in charge, being a woman who could take care of herself, was kind of lost. I feel like with this card, with this relationship. While it was a healthy, loving relationship, I do feel like you gave up a lot of yourself, a lot of your independence here. Um, and then your later adult life, and we'll see some, yeah, yep, we'll see some, oh, okay, yeah, yep. So we'll see some of him here as I kept interrupting myself. So we have like the swords energy all across, and then we have that King of Cups again, who I feel like is he grew up from the Knight to the King of Cups. So again, it's like, you know, a loving man, a caring father and husband, but I just feel like you gave up a lot of yourself during this. But what's interesting is I feel like you had that adventurer spirit, but you were watching like the strong, commanding men, and I feel like it lasted for some time. I'm feeling 12 years of being out on the ocean with these other people. So I'm feeling that definite like going along, moving along and staying out there, and then I feel like there was the reason to run. Um, and then we see so the Six of Swords and the Ten of Swords, we see both of these here, and I'm really connected to them being together here. There was a moment of backstabbing, a moment of someone turning you in, and it wasn't like them turning you in. I'm feeling okay. So I'm feeling like one of the people who had left maybe the water and gone to the desert, had told them there something about you. So I feel like this is a person that had grown up on the boats, and they felt that opposite of you. They wanted roots. They wanted to go to the desert and live. And they went back, and I feel like they went and they told like your family like this whole whole thing about you getting married, being a navigator, about you being out in the boats, about the desert in the middle of the ocean. I feel like your mother was a fair landlord and leader, but she was also power hungry. And I'm feeling some of the connection to those animals out there. Like she wanted, there was like some kind of animal that had been extinct, and she wanted these. She wanted these for her menagerie, and she came. I feel like she found you on the boats one day, or found your boat and was brought to you by one of the people in charge, and they found out what she had known, and I feel like there was a scuffle, there was anger. I actually feel this was the moment of your mother's death, and it was a weird moment for you because you had been gone for so long, but she was still your mother. You had those strong disagreements with her. You felt like it was your responsibility to take over. And I feel like some of that responsibility has followed into this lifetime. If somebody else backs out of a project, you feel like it's your responsibility to take over and to finish it. And so I feel like in that moment, when there was the scuffle, when there was almost like a small battle, a small war or something, and your mother and her main main, I guess, crew were killed, were destroyed and taken over, that you felt like it was your responsibility for whatever reason. I don't know if there was younger siblings at home still, or it was just that idea of you had not led in so long. You had been treated like a woman for so long on these boats that you wanted to go back out again into and take over and use your natural abilities, your natural leadership abilities. So I'm feeling that, and I feel, I don't think your husband or your partner, whatever they would have been called, I don't feel like he came with you. So when all this energy happened, I feel you left, and I feel like your leaving was a surprise. You had a few children of your own with him now at this point, and you took them with you, but you didn't tell him, and he didn't come with you, and I don't feel like he followed you. I feel like he was very heartbroken, but you know what? And I'm just getting the symbolism now of this tiny island here in the middle of the ocean, and I feel like he kind of went there. And he kind of just lived out his days there. It's definitely, and then the end of your life. So okay, this is kind of neat. I'm feeling all this, like this hand energy. Like we have the Eight of Wands. Oh, and we have no more Cups cards now, which makes sense since you've left the ships behind. So some of these I'm feeling like that. Okay, so we'll start here. So you have that Queen of Wands, but she's reversed when she showed up here, which is interesting for me because we have that Strength and that Star card. I'm feeling like more of these are directly the end of your life, your death, and yeah, that's what I'm feeling here. We'll get into that in a moment then. So the Eight of Wands, I'm feeling very much the strength from you, but I'm feeling like a lot of anger, a lot of frustration for all the years that you had kind of given up on yourself and given up on who you believed you were and who you were raised as. I'm feeling like a lot of no longer leading and being respected like your mother had been, but leading more with emotion and anger. If something wasn't going your way, instead of trying to figure out a way to work through it, I feel like you would just take it. And I feel like sometimes this moved faster than you thought it would. It was like things would get out of hand. Like, and I feel like some of this energy is coming from people that were by your side. They were probably not the right kind of people to have by your side, but the people that your mom ruled with fairly, those people had all died with her. So this card's trying to come out at me. So that Maiden of Air, I feel like your probably your closest advisors and stuff were very young, if not young, then young by position. You know what I mean? Like not necessarily in years, but in their abilities. Not naive is what I'm feeling. And then with that air energy, I'm feeling like and then we have another air. So that air energy, I'm feeling like that mental energy, and then too, like they were too much being pulled around. Like they couldn't keep their foot in one place or the other, their mind in one place or the other. One moment they wanted to be like fair and honest and just, and then the other moment they're kind of just like taking things as they want it. And then the elemental of earth, like I'm feeling a lot of this coming from you, like that this is our land and I have it back now and I'm not going to really think much on it, kind of energy is what I'm feeling. So I'm feeling like there was definitely like other people leading you astray, but that some of this too was just you were in charge, but you weren't really interested in being in charge, truly. Your and you know, and a lot of that I feel like was definitely that different way that things had turned out for you. I'm feeling betrayal at the end, and I'm feeling it from these advisors, which again is where I'm getting some of this hermit energy, some trusting energy now. Um, and while things went well on the boat for you all those years, like safety wise, even though you kind of rushed in, and I feel like a lot of times you probably came back by the skin of your teeth. Um, but the thing was, there, I feel like a lot of people took easy on you, or helped you more than you realized because you were female and that was the way they were. But when you were here again, um, a female was like that even footing, that even ground. So there wasn't a lot of taking care of you going on. It was more of that power hungry struggle. And I think you just came back at like the wrong time, and you came back, you know, after watching your mother die and after years of being treated like you were kind of silly, or your opinions didn't matter, you weren't as strong. Um, After all that, I feel like coming back here, I feel like you tried too hard to be strong. I feel like it was definitely power plays constantly, trying to show that you could lead, that you could take, take other lands, take other places. So I'm feeling very much like that tyrannical part from you, and I'm feeling that, a lot of that, of course, I feel like coming from these other people around you, people as you were going out, and finding other lands, you were finding other advisors. Something I just got drawn to is earlier when you left, you had that Knight of Wands, and you had that charging off to the dragon, and coming back you have that Queen of Wands, and you're sitting on the dragon. So it was I feel like a lot of resting energy, but I feel that at the end it was just I'm feeling over exerting, taking on too many projects, like taking over too many lands, spreading your faith in people too far. Like, I'm feeling like you trusted your top advisors quicker than you should have, and I don't feel like betrayal by them, but definitely their youth and their inadequacies and their naive nature took you into a battle that really you weren't ready for, or would never be ready for, honestly, unless you had many more people behind you, and that you did not make it out of there. The Star card here is very interesting to me. Seeing this as above, so below kind of action here, and then drawing energy from the water. I feel like that world that you were in was very out of balance. Like, not only did we have, all desert, all water, and then, all male energy, all female energy, and it was very unbalanced kind of life, and I feel like it left an unbalanced feeling within you that carried on into this lifetime, with that hermit energy. I feel like sometimes probably you're quick to not trust, but that you don't listen to that judgment. Like, you'll kind of, like, your intuition will tell you someone's not trustworthy, but you'll question yourself. Are you just being unfair? And I feel like some of it is maybe you recognize souls from previous lifetimes that were I flip those around as I put them back. Souls from previous lifetimes that were cruel to you, or possibly one of these people who ignored or belittled you. And then I feel like other times it is that you you don't trust your intuition just because other people have told you it's wrong, or told you you need more evidence, or told you they trust someone. That, to me, I feel like kind of draws your heart kind of in sometimes. I feel like you've definitely given part of yourself to people that you shouldn't have. Oh, that's interesting. So I feel like you've definitely given your heart to people that you shouldn't have at times, and I feel like that friendship, family, forgiving, even sometimes when your intuition tells you not to, that you've given another chance and another chance. Um, with the Queen of Cups here, like I'm feeling that strong intuition energy, and then again it's that Cups kind of finishing off that whole Cups and water energy and story we had from the last from your past life, like that that emotional readiness. So I feel like you, while you try to probably hermit sometimes when you feel like you have your intuition is speaking to you that you can't trust someone, you have begun to not trust your intuition because, or you had at some point, there was definitely a period of not trusting your intuition when it came to other people, not believing that people were who you thought they were. Like I feel like you could pick up a sense on like aura or energy around them, past life energy. I do feel like seeing this here is that drawing into yourself, kind of meditating and listening to yourself is going to awaken that intuition stronger. It's going to make you trust your intuition more, which is probably more of the problem, is just trusting your intuition, not allowing other verbal voices to get in the way of what you believe or think or know about someone, like right when you meet them. But yeah, I feel that, and so I feel that hermit energy just from the pulling in, the not knowing how to trust from this lifetime, and then also a lot of that imbalance at times, definitely. And then also some of that frustration. Like I feel like you are a strong female. I don't feel like you or pursue or wait for other people to take care of you, but I do feel like there have been times where you've gotten really frustrated because people do treat you like you're a little female, a little dainty little lady, and you can't figure something out. And it's annoying for all of us, but I think it feels more annoying for you than others, just because of this lifetime that you went through. But I hope that reading, that you were able to resonate with that. That was really interesting. I really love tapping into that life. So I'm glad you told me a little bit about that desert energy, so I could kind of read into that when I went out. But I hope you have a really blessed week. Bye.